I'm Frank Garza, and welcome to Here and Abroad, a podcast that follows the U.S. men's national team and their player pool across Europe, MLS, or wherever else they play their club football. On today's show, we're breaking down standout performances from the past weekend, both in Europe and across MLS. We'll also look ahead to the clubs kicking off their European seasons this weekend with a focus on the U.S. internationals we'll be watching closely. Plus, with just over 2 weeks left in the summer transfer window, we'll dive into the biggest moves still in play and which American players could be on the move. To help me do all of that, I've invited Larry Henry Jr. to join the show. Larry is the managing editor for SBI Soccer and live reporter at The Athletic. So, Larry, let's start with the clubs that kicked off their competitive seasons last weekend. We had the English Championship kicking off. We had the Eredivisie kicking off. We had Crystal Palace, who played in the Community Shield, kind of kicking off their competitive season. Of all the Americans you watched this past weekend, who were kicking off those seasons, is there one in particular that caught your eye?
Yeah, first off, Frank, good to be back with you again as always. And the player I definitely want to talk about is Serginho Dest. I thought he had a really good performance in PSV's opening day win. Got them an early 3 points in the Eredivisie title race. And obviously back-to-back weekends for him with a goal after scoring in the Dutch Super Cup, the comeback win the week prior. So it's really good, obviously, to see Des back healthy, back fit, making an impact in the final third. We know what he is capable of when he's healthy. And 2 goals in 2 games is pretty good for any right back, let alone, a guy trying to get back to his best. So I thought he had a really good performance. And then also obviously wanted to shout out Chris Richards. I thought Crystal Palace winning the Community Shield, obviously isn't the biggest trophy in England, but it's a big one, I think, for Crystal Palace because that's 2 trophies in a row for them now after the FA Cup final win over Manchester City last May. Chris Richards, I thought, had a good performance. I wouldn't say outstanding performance, but I think overall he did a good job against a really dynamic Liverpool attack. And and then once it got into penalties, anything can happen. And Dean Henderson obviously stood on his head at that point. So, so definitely want to shout out those 2 guys and then give even an honorable mention to Josh Sargent for picking up a goal in his opening day performance with Norwich City. Obviously wasn't a golazo or anything. It was
He scored. He scored it off his butt.
Yeah.
From what I saw.
It was a back pass to the Millwall goalkeeper. The goalie took a little extra time, and when he went to clear it, Josh kind of jumped in front of it and ricocheted off the butt and into the back of the net. And
He'll take it.
Yeah, hey, I think Norwich City fans will be happy with that. And obviously with the transfer rumors surrounding him, I think it was. I know they didn't get the 3 points, but I know fans are probably happy to see him amongst the goals again, and probably are praying that he stays with the team this season.
Yeah. Yeah, I enjoyed all 3 of those guys' performances. I mean, the guy I had picked out was the first guy you mentioned, though, Serginho Dest. I mean, it was so... I watched that game, seeing him score, just sitting on my couch, just put a big smile on my face. I mean, he was smiling, dancing around. I mean, and I think it was really encouraging, the type of goal, because this is a guy that's coming back from injury. We've wondered about his his acceleration, his speed, his quickness, how quickly he can plant and move and that sort of thing. And it was this give and go, where he passed the ball to his teammate, I forget who it was, and then just kind of muscled off the defender and sprinted past him and got open, collected the ball, and then showed his quality by, just hitting an unbelievable shot. He roofed it. It was beautiful. But, showing that acceleration and that speed and the athleticism he did on that play, I think is a really good sign for he's returning back to his full level. And, I just can't wait to see what he does under Pochettino, how Pochettino uses him. We haven't seen him play with the U.S. now for almost a year, is it? Maybe even more. But it's been a long time. Obviously he hasn't played under Poch yet, and Poch has been here almost a year. So,
yeah, it's definitely been a long time, and I think, like you said, just seeing him kind of enjoy his soccer again is pretty cool. Obviously, PSV want to be in the the title race again and make a deep run into Europe. And I think a healthy and confident Serginho Dest definitely helps in both of those areas. And obviously, we know he's important to the national team, and I think they could definitely take it up another level with him back on the field at right back.
Yeah. I was initially disappointed at the start of the match when I saw the lineups come out and I saw Pepe wasn't I thought I was going to be able to watch both of them. So Pepe, it was reported that it was just fitness. I mean, I think it was just, I think precautionary. I mean, he doesn't have an injury. It's just they didn't feel like he was ready maybe to go the full 90. And if this is just part of the plan to get him back to like take it slow. And so, really, I was disappointed he didn't get out there, but I definitely am cool with them playing it cautious and bringing him back slowly at the right opportunity. Hopefully he gets a chance this weekend to get on the field and score some goals. But I love watching those PSV guys. I mean, I think probably next to AC Milan, PSV is probably the team I watch second most, just because I just really love me some Serginho Dest and Ricardo Pepi. We'll stay in Europe a little bit later and talk about the season's kicking off this upcoming weekend. But let's keep it in the past weekend, and talk about MLS. I say it almost every podcast now. MLS used to be something we talked about sometimes on the podcast, but with Poch and the kind of the new emphasis he's put on MLS players and all the players he's brought into the team, I mean, we have to talk about it. We have to talk about it more and more because he's relying on a lot of MLS guys. So from the matches you watched over the weekend, who's a player that caught your eye there?
I think it's kind of a tie between two players. First would have to be Jack McGlynn with the Houston Dynamo. I know he had a brace over the weekend in the 2-2 Texas Derby draw with Austin FC. And I think it's just another positive step for Jack McGlynn. He's obviously, used to his surroundings now with the Houston Dynamo after his years with the Philadelphia Union. 5 goals and 3 assists now in MLS play, 6 goals altogether this season. So I think overall it's been a really productive campaign for him. We know what he's capable of with his passing ability and just his work rate as a midfielder. So I think it was a really good performance from him. And then the other guy would be Darren Yappy with the Colorado Rapids. A little bit younger, 20 years old, but he's definitely had a good season. 6 goals for the Rapids this season, which are the most for him in a single season at MLS level. Former U.S. youth national team guy who, again, is still only 20, so I think still has a bright future. But him scoring 2 goals in that victory over Minnesota United on Sunday was really inspiring for him, and I think was really inspiring also for Colorado, who obviously traded Jorge Mihailovic earlier this summer.
Yeah, tell me a little bit more about Yap, because I don't know too much about him. What position does he play? And you said he's played in some youth tournaments before too.
Yeah, so he mainly plays as a I know he's used as a striker, but he can also play out as a wing as well. He's got 36 appearances with Colorado Rapids 2 in MLS Next Pro, but he has 96 now with the Rapids first team, 9 goals, and 6 of them have come this season, which wow. I think just shows that his kind of development as a youth player. He's featured for the U.S. under-17s before, has had 3 caps for them, and then has 5 caps for the U20 team. He scored once. So he's a dynamic player for sure. Has kind of had to wait for his opportunities at times with the Rapids over the last couple seasons, but I think looks to be relishing it right now. He's got, like I said, 6 goals and just over 1,000 minutes played. So really good kind of return from him. And like I said, 20 years old, I think still has a very bright future, whether that's in MLS or whether that's in Europe someday.
Okay. I have to keep my eye on him because I haven't watched him a whole lot. But I do watch the Rapids from time to time just to see how Zach Steffen's doing. I promise folks that Larry and I aren't sharing our notes here, but Jack McGlynn was the guy I picked out as well. I'm here in Austin, so I'm an Austin FC fan. I watched that match over the weekend, And he was really impressive. It wasn't just the 2 goals. He scored a penalty, and then he scored a shot near the end of the match. I mean, Houston was down 2-0, and they came back. Really, it was his penalty that kind of turned things around, and then he scored this like cutback pass to him at the top of the box, and really nice goal. But the thing that impressed me was that he was, for me, the best player on the field for Houston. It wasn't even close. I mean, anytime I saw something happen in their attack that looked dangerous, he was involved somehow. I mean, just before he scored his second goal, he had passed this perfect ball to a guy right in front of the goal who like missed his shot. It should have been an easy goal, but it was a beautiful pass to him. Should have been an assist right there. But it just looked like if they were going to score any goals, you just knew that McGlynn was going to have to be involved, because it was just his set pieces. I mean, he'd get some perfect cross in from somewhere on the field, and I mean, it's just awesome that he scored those 2 goals. I mean, even though I was cheering for Austin, I could appreciate McGlynn scoring those 2 goals. And I've wondered about him because he seemed to be one of Poch's guys, one of Poch's MLS guys for a while. You put him in the same category as like Ajuman, Max Arfsten, these guys that Poch has kind of counted on and played a lot, ever since the January camp. McGlynn was one of them. And then in the Gold Cup, he started at first, but then he kind of got benched. I think essentially Sebastian Berhalter took his spot. There was the penalty shootout against Costa Rica where he was on the field, and he didn't, I don't know who. I'm assuming it was Poch that made the final decision on which 5 guys were going to like take the penalties, and he wasn't one of them. Even though he takes penalties for Houston, and he's taken them a lot, I believe, for Philadelphia when he was there too. So I don't know. I just wondered, was he kind of on a downward spiral with Poch? Was he losing some momentum with Poch? And so it's good to see him like doing well in MLS to kind of like, if he was losing some momentum, to kind of gather that back. I mean, how'd you feel about that? Do you think he was losing any momentum with Poch in the U.S. men's national team, or am I reading too much into it?
No, I think you're right. It seemed like he was, obviously in the mix, and then kind of had maybe the rug pulled out a little bit from him. Kind of went into just like off the bench role, and that could be a bunch of different things. Obviously, McGlynn, a young player, maybe Pochettino trying to give a lot of guys an opportunity at the Gold Cup and trying to see what he has. And obviously rotation, I think, in that tournament is key too, just because of the group stage you're playing every few days. So guys coming off a busy season or in the middle of their club season. So probably doesn't want to get anyone, injured as well. So yeah, I think McGlynn still has some moments in front of him, whether that's in the fall window or whether that's later in the year.
Okay, so let's look ahead to the this coming weekend. We have a number of other European clubs kicking off their seasons. We have all the clubs in the Premier League is starting this weekend, so all the clubs there. La Liga, Ligue 1 are kicking off their seasons. AC Milan is going to kick off their season with their first round match in the Coppa Italia. So from the Americans who are going to be starting their competitive seasons this weekend, which one, will you be keeping the closest eye on?
It's a tough question. There's so many kicking off the season. I'm going to probably start off with Tyler Adams and Bournemouth. Obviously, the Friday night match against Liverpool is a daunting one. Going to face the reigning league champions isn't easy for any club, but obviously, I think Bournemouth have what it takes to make it a good game with the players that they have. Obviously, I know their back line has been kind of dismantled this summer in terms of transfers and players leaving. But I think, Adams plays a big part in that team, just his aggressiveness as a midfielder, his work rate, his engine that he has. And I think, him being healthy this season is obviously not only huge for the national team, but it's huge for Bournemouth because I think they could maybe be in the top 10 picture again if he's able to stay healthy and the players are able to kind of fly with that same confidence like they did last season. The other guy I'm excited to see, and hopefully we get to see him, is Timmy Weah, obviously making that move to Marseille. I'm not sure how much kind of training he's had with the new team and after signing, but I know they kick off the league campaign this weekend, and it'll be cool to see him hopefully in a more consistent role with Marseille than his time at Juventus. And I know he's probably excited to be back kind of where it all started in France, hopefully trying to get his kind of club career back on track.
Yeah, I'm excited to watch Weah this season. I mean, you would think he's fully fit. He had a full preseason with Juve, so that shouldn't be an issue. It's just, how quickly can he come into the team and learn how to play with his teammates, and whatnot. So I'll be curious to see, how much playing time he gets. Man, I always have a hard time finding Ligue 1 games like to watch. That's my only problem with watching those guys. But I'm going to stick with Ligue 1 because the guy I kind of have my eye on is Balogun, Folarin Balogun. Really curious to see how his season starts off with AS Monaco. He missed their final preseason game with what I read was a minor leg injury. Didn't sound too serious, so I'm assuming he's going to be fit to play this weekend. If he is, it seems like they've been starting him alongside another striker in preseason from what I've been seeing. I believe he also has a goal in the preseason so far. So, I mean, this is a big season for him. He's a guy that's outside looking in. Hasn't even been to a camp yet with Pochettino, and so he's going to have to get going here, pretty quick. And if he doesn't, I think he's going to be in trouble because, Pepe's going to be heating up with PSV. Sargent's already, I saw he scored another goal today in the Carabao Cup. Ajiman's out with injury, but, you can tell he's one of Poch's favorite strikers. And so I think a lot of people assume Balogun and Pepe are 1 and 2, and they don't give it too much thought. But I honestly think if he doesn't get going quick and get the chance to impress Pochettino pretty quickly, I think he's going to start to slide down the depth chart a little bit, in my opinion. So I just think it's so important he gets off to a good start. Pulisic as well, I'm excited to see. Although they're playing, how do you pronounce it? Barry. I
think it's Barry, yeah.
Barry, okay. So they're a Serie B team, and so you would think Milan's gonna, crush them, and that should be an easy victory. Hopefully, there'll be lots of goals to go around. You never know. But he's another guy that hasn't been playing out of just precaution due to some injuries he's had, and so it'd be great to see him get in that match and score some goals as well. So yeah, we're kind of in it this weekend. I think after this weekend, the only leagues left to kick off are Bundesliga and Serie A, right? And then everything will be going. Okay, last thing I want to talk about here is the summer transfer window. So, man, it's the end. It seems like it's slowly creeping up on us. September 1st, I think, is when most European transfer windows close. So, we're just over 2 weeks away, from that. Who are the U.S. internationals you are watching really closely right now to see if they either, make a move or end up, staying put?
Yeah, I think the first one has to be Gio Reyna. Obviously, what is going to happen next for him? Borussia Dortmund has already kind of passed his number 7 kit on to Joe Bellingham. So unless there's a total maybe change of heart from the club. I'd expect to see Gio Reyna on the move, whether that's to Parma, whether that's to somewhere else, kind of remains to be seen. But he desperately needs a move. He needs to play. This is a big season for him in terms of getting back on track, staying healthy, being productive again as a player, and obviously getting, back in the mix before the World Cup.
Yeah, I mean, I think everybody has their eye on Gio Reyna, and at this point, I'm starting to get a little bit worried. I mean, they gave his number away, like you said. He hasn't even been dressing for their preseason matches, so clearly he's not. I mean, we knew he wasn't in the plans, but it seems like a transfer is imminent if they're not, if they're giving away his number and he's not even dressing, for the games. But it's getting kind of close, and it seems I personally just feel like Dortmund's holding out for as high a number they can get for him. Like they're in no hurry to unload him. They have no plans to use him, so they're just kind of waiting around to see how high of a number they can get. Ultimately, I think they'll just take the best they can get. But I'm more worried that Parma might move on and go get somebody else and then not have room for him, down the road. But we'll see. It won't surprise me at all if we come down to the last week of the transfer season and he ends up coming to MLS, or going to, I don't know, some other team that we didn't really think of. That's kind of off the radar. I mean, I'm kind of worried that he's just going to have to take the best he can get in the last minute, and it's not going to be great. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. I mean, other guys I have my eye on, Max Arfsten. There's still the rumors out there about Middlesbrough. Yunus Musa. Latest I've heard on him is Nottingham Forest. And then Josh Sargent. It's starting to. The championship a lot better than I do, but I mean, it's starting to look like to me he might just stay put. I mean, Is that what you're thinking?
No, yeah. I think I tweeted it out earlier today that just him scoring in the Carabao Cup, I think, obviously boost his kind of interest elsewhere. But I think if you're Norwich City, that the longer this kind of drags out, you're probably feeling pretty good that Josh Sargent's going to be here for the season, and they desperately need him if they want to be in the mix for promotion or in the top six. They've already lost Borja Sans this summer to Porto, who was a big player for them last season. So losing Sargent too, I think, would be another major blow. But yeah, I mean, that obviously, he kind of, reportedly rejected a move back to the Bundesliga with Wolfsburg. I know there's still Premier League interest, but the Premier League starts this weekend, so teams might be, I'm sure not everyone's done with their moves, but probably some of the teams are. So we'll see how it goes. But yeah, I mean, I think the longer this drags out, the more you're looking at maybe Josh Sargent staying at Carrow Road for another season and then potentially being on the move next summer.
Yeah, which really surprised me. It would really surprise me if that's. I mean, at this point, it's not going to surprise me. But at the beginning of the transfer window, I thought for sure this guy was going to make a move. But I mean, ultimately, maybe he stays put, and we'll see. All right, Larry. Well, it's going to be an interesting couple weeks. Watch the end of that transfer window. Thanks again so much for joining the show. I'll make sure and put links in the show notes to your X account, which is at lhenry019, and also to your work at SBI Soccer. Thanks again for coming on the show today.
Thanks a lot for having me, Frank, and enjoy the start of the new European season this weekend with all the other leagues starting up.
I'm ready. I'm going to have the TV. I'm going to have the TV going this weekend for sure.
Bring it on.
Multiple screens. And thanks everyone for listening to Here and Abroad. If you enjoyed the episode, please do me a huge favor and hit that subscribe button if you're watching on YouTube, or that follow button if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or somewhere else. Thank you so much. I'm Frank Garza. You can follow me on X at FrankGarza007, and I'll be back next week with a new episode.